Ladies and gentlemen, here's a story that you're just not going to hear on MSNBC or CNN or the Washington Post or the New York Times. And if you do hear the story, well, it'll be for a second, and they won't pontificate or judge or condemn or do the usual with Trump and everyone else. Former Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan, indicted on racketeering, bribery, and more. Michael Madigan, Illinois, Democrat, once most powerful politician in state. Here is, the equivalent of, you could say, who would be, think of a top Republican within the state of Florida, or within the state house or state legislature. Imagine if the top Republican in Florida or Texas were indicted on 22 counts. This is ABC Chicago, ABC 7 Chicago. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I will have a live stream on this channel about 7 p.m. Pacific tonight. Hit subscribe. We have amazing live streams. If you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very interesting. Former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan, once the most powerful politician in Illinois, has been indicted on an array of corruption charges, the U.S. Attorney announced Wednesday afternoon. Federal prosecutors announced the charges in downtown Chicago. The full indictment contains a complex list of 22 counts, including for bribery and racketeering, allegedly by Madigan and a web of co-conspirators. This is Tammany Hall, not only in Chicago, not only in Illinois, but you better believe the same things are taking place in, dare I say, New York. The best offense for Democrats is a good defense. So what they do is, or the best defense is a good offense. So what they do is investigate Trump and have the Washington Post and New York Times and MSNBC and CNN and Vanity Fair and Esquire and Rolling Stone and Mother Jones and The Atlantic and Time Magazine and New Yorker, New York Magazine. They have all this public relations monstrosity. Go after Trump because he did something horrible. We just can't prove it, but he did something, oh my God. And what they do is cover up the actual crimes. I mean, we're not even getting into the Arizona state senator. I can't even talk about exactly the crimes he's accused of, but that was a couple months back. You have Democrats on the state level, especially in the federal level. They're definitely protected by the Bureau and wonderful agencies who, like Peter Strzok, will stop Trump. It's not difficult to see the bias. It's not just bias; it's allegiance, it's loyalty. Okay, imagine if Peter Strzok said, "We'll stop Clinton." The media, you'd never hear the end of it. But hit subscribe to this channel. We're almost at 193,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to 193 and then on to 200,000. Once we get to 200,000, I'm going to go ahead and branch out into more to other platforms as well, in addition to growing this channel and the Stock Market Crash channel. So hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below. That is a very important channel. You're seeing what's taking place with oil real quick. Oil prices. My God. Oil prices were at 116 last night. They're now at 110. So the economy is all over the place. It's just all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. So we are heading towards a devastating stock market crash. And it's because of what I wrote about. We are seeing it in slow motion, but the 2,000 to 3,000 point drops we will see. I wrote about that in The Federalist. You could read my writing in The Federalist below in the pinned comment, or go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Federalist, The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Daily Caller, other publications. The alleged scheme stretches from Chicago to Springfield and connects politicians, lobbyists, businesses, and utility executives and Madigan's law firm. Well, there you go. There you go. That's the Democratic Party for you. A whole bunch of networking along with information, just like Tammany Hall. just like what was documented 200 years ago in New York, a whole network of politicians, lobbyists, business, and utility executives. Prosecutors allege Madigan 79 led a criminal enterprise meant to enhance Madigan's political power and financial well-being. Well, where have we heard that? Of course, Madam Secretary or Hunter never did anything like that, while also generating income for his allies and associates for nearly a decade. You just described Tammany Hall. Read The Plunket of Tammany Hall, a series of very plain talks. Okay? I have the book, The Plunket of Tammany Hall, a series of very plain talks on very practical politics. Okay? It documents exactly by George Washington Plunkett, okay, born into poverty in New York in 1842, and then became one of the most powerful men in New York City. And he ended his life a renowned civic leader and millionaire. Well, that's what the Democratic Party will do for you. You get being a Democrat is very lucrative, especially when you have very gullible, impressionable people on the far left who will just believe anything you say. So Democrats will say, yeah, Medicare for all, we'll implement that. Yeah, all right. Yeah. A Green New Deal. All right. As we release reserves of oil because wind and solar, I guess, just aren't enough to sanction Russia or to influence Putin. Okay, nobody's talking about wind and solar right now, and during this geopolitical crisis where Ukraine is being invaded under Biden's presidency, during Biden's presidency. Everything that they thought or feared would happen under Trump, is now taking place under Biden. What they feared would happen under Trump is now taking place during Biden's administration. But here, this alleged scheme stretches from Chicago to Springfield and connects politicians, lobbyists, businesses, and utility executives and Madigan's law firm. Prosecutors allege Madigan 79 led a criminal conspiracy meant to enhance Madigan's political power and financial well-being while also generating income for his allies and associates for nearly a decade. Madigan's close friend, Michael McLean, is named as a co-defendant, and prosecutors allege he carried out criminal activity at Madigan's behest. So, the indictment accuses Madigan and McLean and other members of unlawfully soliciting benefits from businesses and other private entities, and accuses Madigan of engaging in multiple schemes to benefit from private legal work unlawfully steered to his law firm. That's exactly how Democrats work. That's exactly what the Durham probe is looking at. A lot of what they do is legal. So they will inform, which is not truly legal, but they'll inform, for example, what happened 200 years ago and that George Plunkett talked about in his book. Okay, they'll inform business leaders that the city is about to engage in some kind of, construction. Not everybody will know. It's not really, it's insider information, but, perhaps it's not breaking the law. And so you tell people within the business community, hey, we're going to buy up, we're going to build a, big school, or, we're going to build some kind of government agency on this plot of land. And guess what? Very wealthy business leaders start buying up different parts of where they're going to build. And so, that's interesting. How did they find that out? Well, it's all a racket. Politics is a racket. And that was discussed and addressed 200 years earlier, 150 years earlier. Okay? Now, we're seeing this take place right before our eyes. Hunter Biden, for example, he doesn't know anything about oil and gas. Okay? But the difference is when they say, well, the Trumps, They engage in nepotism also. It has nothing to do with nepotism. Just like Clinton's servers had nothing to do with private email. They lie by omission, or they just overtly lie. Yes, Clinton had private email. However, Madam Secretary never had a public address and found ways to transfer top secret intelligence on private servers. Okay, I want her to become the Democratic nominee. I swear to God, this is what I'm hoping for. And I just to see everyone on the far left vote for Clinton, that's enough for me. Because they will, or they'll lose their friends and they'll be kicked off of their like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter groups or whatever. Okay, you're ostracized if you don't fall into, if you don't just do what you're told on the left, you are completely shunned, ostracized, excommunicated. It's just like unbelievable. Your friends will disown you. It's a gigantic cult. But Clinton would be better than Biden. My God, anyone would. Trump is a million times. I would vote for Trump over Clinton a million times over. But Clinton would be better than Biden. Anyone would be better than mashed potato brains. But if it's Clinton-Trump, hopefully that's the rematch. I vote for Trump a million times over. But look, so anyway, how did I get to that? So you have a situation where the most powerful, and President Obama, like his political base, or where he started politically, was in Illinois. Clinton also originally from Illinois. So Chicago and New York have a long history of Democratic Party corruption. You don't hear about it because media is an extension of the Democratic Party. You don't even hear about what the Arizona state senator did or alleged to have done. You don't hear about there are so many indictments and criminal charges of state-level Democrats. Not to mention all of the people that work at CNN who were charged and indicted and arrested. Okay? I mean, you're talking about a monstrosity, public relations, political monstrosity, where Democrats have merged with media and Hollywood. And that's why you have Jimmy Kimmel every single night. Like, Jimmy Kimmel could easily, from the Man Show to his very bigoted skit where he was in the same attire as Trudeau. Okay, this is like, he could have been canceled a million times over. But that's not the way it works. The left doesn't go after its own in the same manner that they go after conservatives or independents or people on the far, like the Green Party. They'll go after the Green Party in the same manner they go after Republicans. Democrats will not allow any political obstacle in their way, whether it's left or right. That's why when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, people wrote hit pieces on me because they couldn't stand that I wouldn't vote for Clinton. They couldn't stand that I was only going to vote for Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, turned out to be a tool of the Democratic Party. But here, as part of the scheme, prosecutors allege that Madigan and others used coded language in their discussions. This is what they accuse Trump of. This is what everything they do, they accuse Trump of, and attempted to reduce law enforcement's ability to intercept their communications by meeting in person. Well, that's how the mafia works also. By meeting in person or using third-party cell phones to communicate. Prosecutors say Madigan often referred to by ComEd officials as our friend or a friend of ours, rather than using his name in an effort to conceal the scheme. McClain's job was to shield Madigan from the enterprise's criminal activity, as according to the indictment. So they should have just had a foundation or a laptop. They could have circumvented all of this by just losing a laptop like Hunter. Anyway, and then saying that the Russians hacked it, or it was the Russians' fault, like Democrats usually do. See, that only works on the federal level. On the state level, you can't blame Putin. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here in about 2 hours. I'll have another very, very interesting upload. Be on this channel at about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific for the live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much.